Good evening. This is Common Sense. I'm William Ferguson. Let's talk about the purpose of the two different parties in this country. It was set up as checks and balances. That's why there are three different parts to the government: the legislative, the judicial, and the executive branches. And it was set up that way so that no one branch or entity would take over the governing of the United States. They set it up so that if one branch were to try to overstep everything and just take over the country, they couldn't do it, because the other two branches could step in and say, no, you're not going to do that. That's the way it was set up. Now, it seems as though the Democrats don't understand that anymore. They seem to think that being elected into office gives them power. It doesn't. You have no more power than a Republican, nor do you have any more power than the president. The president was given the power as the president by the people. We, the people, decided that we wanted President Donald J. Trump to lead the country because he has experience in leading business, in leading people, in growing a business. And so why not? He could grow the country. He could help lead us, show us the way. The Republicans, for the most part, are with the president because we seem to see what's going on in the United States is good. And the Democrats don't see that. And I don't understand how they lost the simple explanation of the government of this country. I just explained it. Checks and balances. No political side should be able to say, you do this, you do that. That's why there are two, the Republicans and the Democrats. It's so if one party says you will do this, the other party can say no, because it's not feasible, it's not legal, it's not moral. It shouldn't be that way. Not, we hate the president, so we're going to impeach him. That's absolutely wrong. That's way against everything that the Constitution stands for. The Constitution stands for the people. And in order to keep the people free from tyranny, oppression, taxes, that was a big one. They decided we're going to divide the government into sections, and we're going to have checks and balances in every part of the government, so that no one entity in the government can take over and run the country. And it seems as though the Democrats have lost that. Why? You know, in all things, we are different. Each individual human being is different from the next individual human being. Every society is different from the next society. We are not like the Asians. The Asians are not like the Slavics. The Europeans are not like the Africans. We are all different. And that is part of what helps the world work, are the differences. Now, think about it like this. If the world were to have come into existence by coincidence. By sheer, a giant explosion, here you have it, and then man came out of the primordial ooze from microscopic things. Then every man may not even speak a language. Every man may not be different from every other man. Look at the wildlife. There are certain animal societies, but then there are certain animals that are loners, individuals. They would rather be alone. And so man would be a society, a societal creature, animal. But we wouldn't be able to talk. We wouldn't be able to love. We wouldn't be able to do a lot of things. We would all be the same. So we didn't come from this primordial ooze of microscopic creatures. We were created. We were created by God. And God is the one that created the different languages that we speak. He is the one that instilled in human beings creativity. The ability to learn, the ability to speak, the ability to love. God gave us those things, and He made us different for the specific purpose that we would not all follow the same, i.e., good or evil. It would be nice if we all followed good, but there's a problem with that. In that, if we all had the same good or evil in us, we would have no choice. Without a choice, there is no free will. And without a free will, there is no love. So, we're all different. And the Founding Fathers used differences in the founding of this country. In that, they said, well, you know, there are Republicans and there are Democrats. There are those who wish to do evil, but there are those who would wish to do good. And so what we'll do is we'll divide the government into sections. The legislature, the judicial, and the executive. That way we have different in each branch. And then we'll divide the branches, such as the Congress, the legislative branch, into different sections, the House and the Senate. And we will divide those into Republican and Democrat. That way, no one party can take over and say you will do this and you will do that. The other party can come in and say, no, we are going to check what you are saying, but we will balance it out, not simply take over. We will say, well, that's a good idea, but we can't let you go all the way with it. We can let you do this much, but then we've got to stop you at this point. That way, you're not taking over everything and influencing the society to the point that they're following only you. And the society becomes a socialist society. We don't want that. Now, something that's really bugging me right now are these recounts in the states. And Arizona, McSally, I believe is her name, she conceded. And I really wish she wouldn't have. I wish she would have stood up and said no. The voting was over, and at the appointed time that the vote counting was to be over, I had the most votes. Therefore, I won. In Broward and Palm Beach County in Florida, it's really gone bizarre. Because the woman is still down there from, I believe, the year 2000. And in the year 2000, they were having some difficulties with the counts. And it was this woman that was in charge of the voting counts. And it happened again and again and again. This woman should not be in a position of supervision over the election in Broward County and Palm Beach County, Florida. She should not, because she's already broken the law. She was caught destroying ballots in a Wasserman Schultz election, which is wrong. It shouldn't have been that way, and it shouldn't be that way now. And something was brought up. Every time there's a recount anymore, it's always the Democrats that come out on top. Wow. It seems kind of fishy. Or maybe conspiratorial. Like maybe the Democrats are conspiring with the election officials in the counties and states where they were losing, and they decided, let's have a recount. And make sure when you recount the votes so that we win. And I know they were saying in Florida that they weren't just going to count the legal votes, they were going to count all the votes, whether they were legal citizens or not. The Democrat has to win. Why? I just gave you an explanation of the way this government is supposed to run. Nobody has power, or at least they're not supposed to. It's all checks and balances. But yet the Democrats have lost it. And they believe they are entitled to the power. They want power over the people. No. The people are to have power over the government. We are to be the place where the buck stops. We are the ones that are to say, you know, Maxine Waters, you've overstepped your integrity as a senator or a representative or whatever it is that the person is, and we want you out. We would like to see you impeached. Nancy Pelosi, you have done the same thing. Adam Schiff, you have done the same thing. All of them that have overstepped their boundaries as public servants, not governmental rulers, as public servants. Get them out. Because they are not behaving in the way that was set forth by the Constitution. That the Founding Fathers took the time to think about. That they didn't want a monarchy, a dictatorship, a communist society, a socialist society. They did not want that. I don't want that. And no, there aren't very many people, I believe, in this country that want that. We are a different country. Like everything else is different. This country is different. We have more freedoms. We make more money. We worship who it is we worship. I worship God, the living God, the one that created everything, and loved us so much He sent His Son to die for us. That's the God I worship, the real one. And I believe in the Constitution, what it stands for. I believe that God gave us this country, and God has allowed us to show the world that He is the ruler of everything, including this country. Who was it that stepped into World War I to free Europe from the tyranny of the Germans? Who was it that stepped into World War II to free Europe from the tyranny of the Germans? It was always us. The United States, with God leading us, have defeated armies, many armies. And now Democrats think they're going to change everything, turn it into a socialist country. They want the power. You don't have the power. God has the power. Jesus is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. That means He rules this country as well as every other country on this planet. And there will come a day that He comes back and says, let's go. And those who believe, those who live by His word, go with Him. The rest of you, I'm sad to say, you have to stay here because you won't be wanted by the Father or the Son. And those of us that go, we will live in peace, joy, and love. And today, I know that we celebrate it today as Veterans Day, but yesterday was the signing of the armistice, 100 years ago, ending World War I, one of the worst wars this world has ever seen. And I thank God that I live in a country that is free, that has a military, that is not only able, but is willing to go fight for our brothers in whatever country you live. That's all I've got for now. Please pray for the leadership of this country, the men and women who serve in the United States Armed Forces. I thank you for watching, and I ask that you join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Central Time for Common Sense.